Russia floats dissolution of the United Nations, as you can see linked up on Mark13news.com for November 16th, 2022. Russia being the current king of the North, as you can see in the Daniel 11 hypothesis on biblicalresearchlabs.com, with the previous king of the North being the Soviet Union, which was used to take down the second king of the South, which was Germany at the end of World War II. Germany being Judah, which was also the notable horn of the he-goat in Daniel chapter 8. The he-goat being symbolic of the shadow government of the Kenites, and Germany was the notable horn thereof until 1945, when it was replaced with the great horn of the he-goat in Daniel chapter 8, which is the United Nations, in my opinion. And as you can see pointed out in the Daniel 11 hypothesis, verses 10 through 12 of Daniel chapter 11 are self-explanatory, with Germany being the focus and the second king of the South described in Daniel chapter 11. World War I resulted in the League of Nations. World War II resulted in the United Nations, which again is the great horn of the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8 verse 8. And to quickly go over verses 10 through 12, but his son shall be stirred up and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, the sons of the first king of the South, that is to say, meaning the successor, which was Germany in World War II. And Daniel chapter 11 parallels Daniel chapter 8, in as much as the two horns on the ram are symbolic of Ephraim and Manasseh, meaning the UK, including the British Commonwealth, and the United States. And again, the notable horn on the he-goat is symbolic of Germany, the second king of the South, in Daniel chapter 11. So his son shall be stirred up and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through. Then shall he return and be stirred up even to his fortress. And the king of the South, meaning Germany during World War II, shall be moved with choler. And you see that same word choler in Daniel chapter 8 verse 7, where it says, I saw him, meaning the he-goat, come close unto the ram, the two horns of the ram being Ephraim and Manasseh, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns. And as it's written in the last verse of Isaiah chapter 9, Manasseh Ephraim, and Ephraim Manasseh, and they together shall be against Judah. In the world wars, where it was the British Commonwealth and the United States against Germany. And here in verses 10 through 12 of Daniel chapter 11, we have what happened during the Second World War. So the king of the South, meaning Germany during World War II, shall be moved with choler, and shall come forth and fight with them, even with the king of the North, which at that point was the Soviet Union, and he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand, and when he hath taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s, but he shall not be strengthened by it. The chief events of World War II from 1939 to 1945 are on a timeline underneath those verses in the Daniel 11 hypothesis, beginning with when Germany invaded Poland, followed by Germany invading the Soviet Union, the second king of the South invading the territory of the second king of the North, in other words, and then at the end, Germany surrenders. And that's when the notable horn on the he-goat became the great horn of the he-goat, which is the United Nations, in my opinion. Once the great horn of the he-goat gets broken, so to speak, the new world order will emerge at the woe of the fifth trumpet, which is when the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8 becomes the leopard of Daniel chapter 7, when Satan and his angels get cast to earth. Daniel's fourth beast being exclusively supernatural, and this is also when the bear and the lion of Daniel chapter 7 come into being as the fourth king of the North, which is the Ezekiel 38 Confederacy, and the fourth king of the South, which is Ephraim, Judah, and Manasseh, meaning the United Kingdom, including the British Commonwealth, Germany, most likely at that point, including the European Union, when Germany fills in the post-Brexit power vacuum, with Manasseh being the United States. In other words, the Christian nations up until the woe of the sixth trumpet, when Satan appears as the Antichrist in Jerusalem, because that's when most Christians will begin to worship Satan instead of Christ, which is what Antichrist means, causing the Christian nations to become non-Christian nations at that time, which is why Ephraim, Judah, and Manasseh get plucked up by the roots, as you can see in Daniel chapter 7 verse 8, beginning the final 2.5 months or 70 evenings, which are what the 70 years years in captivity to the Babylon of old were a type of.